What is up, everyone, and welcome to another one of my interviews, where this week I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Grim Jimmy, a horror surrealist artist from St. Louis who actually specializes in creepy cute art, painting, sculpting, comic strips, and is a musician as well, who is part of the LGBT community, dabbled a little bit in drag, a huge fan of Fall Out Boy, and enjoys doing impressions. Please stay in your seats as we go down the road to chaos in this conversation with Grim. So, how's your day been so far?
It's fantastic. I ate 2 Long John chocolate donuts for breakfast.
My breakfast was cheese, and I'm also having pina colada with rum.
Oh, hell yeah.
So,
Well, aren't I peanut butter jealous right now? Actually a little trick of the trade that I learned last night. Um, yeah, my wife and I were at Walmart and I got this really big 5-pound bag of shredded mozzarella cheese. You know why?
making lasagna?
Well, also, I probably already told you tons of times that I work at a pizza kitchen, right? Part-time.
Yeah.
And like every 2 hours or so after we make a pizza for the window and like nobody's biting it, we have to constantly like make backups, right? And the
Gotcha.
dead pizzas, we just eat them ourselves, with our spare time. So, what I do is that I take a box full home, right? And with a whole variety of pizzas. We've got pepperoni, cheese, the meat lovers, bacon, mac and cheese, right? But what I do when I reheat those pizza slices for myself at night, I first sprinkle on like just a new layer of mozzarella cheese before I put it in the microwave.
You can always put it in the oven, reheat it that way. Or there's another trick I did too. With an old roommate of mine, when we had like bought pizza from like a pizzeria, we have like a flat pan, and we'll just have the pizza, like the bread part of the pizza, just cooking on the oven on this flat pan. Well, speaking of pizza, I did hear your sample of the Five Nights at Freddy's song you did.
Oh
The
yes, Sins of the Father.
hmm
Oh man, that one's been such a long time coming. I mean, like, it started off as like a little joke between Sky and I, because so much like new FNAF hype was coming up this year, like with the new games and the movie that's still coming out. And it's just, and then they look at me and they're like, what if you did like a FNAF fan song? I'm like, oh my God, that was such a crazy idea. I thought I would actually do it. So it just 2 whole months of me playing around with with like different levels of distortion and just different beats that I don't normally use. Turn up the bass a little bit and it actually works. Lyrically, I understand it's really nothing special, but it still kind of has like the usual rhythm and flow that I usually have in a lot of my other tracks, or at least the ones that I vocalize in anyway. It's like you could practically rap them. Gifts in the mouth, look open wide. Eyes of your children trapped inside. Partner to your purple, go up in flames, or lose yourself to time, stop me fade away. Something like that. I always loved like fan music or like fan art on the internet throughout the 2010s, especially revolving around horror or like just some things everybody seemed to like. But now I'm actually making one myself, and it's a completely different ball game. I already know, even as a musician, I'm not even gonna be probably not even gonna be like half as successful or even half as good as like the Living Tombstone or the Wooden Toaster. Right now, I think like ever since 2021, I've been putting just endless changes through ideas for a concept album.
What are they?
which is going to be all acoustic, just all acoustic and
Just
revolving around like, and I'm probably going to be the most personal, lyrically.
is
It's
it
kind of
just
like a personal biography of everything that I've been through the past 2 years. I think ever since moving out from my mom and trying to make it on my own and all that bit. It's been a very wild and crazy road, and I think in turn it is in many ways making my art better because I'm slowly but surely, getting more better understood senses of self, just our like understandings of the world, and just a better way to like just more healthier ways of processing how the world seems to play out in my head. And a lot of that is still in my artwork and is still in my music. Um, when this particular project, like this all acoustic album, will be out, I'm not saying a single thing because even I don't know.
so for the acoustic album, is it just gonna be just instrumental, or are you gonna have like some singing or screaming or
Singing, and I'd probably say, yeah, maybe some screaming, maybe some screeching, depending on how that would sound with like just acoustic or like a folk style sound. I mean, I've attempted folk punk. I think I might as well put it under the folk punk label.
what would you think? Like, let's say if the producers for the new film with oh my goodness, the Five Nights at Freddy's film, like how would you feel the producers came to you and wanted to sample your song in that film?
Honestly, that sounds too good to be true. All right. Like if we had like anything with franchises, like getting that acquainted with fan projects. I mean, I know it's been crazy. Like the 2010s have been a really crazy era. All right. It was like fan service. It was like, to me, it was like in both all the best ways and the worst ways. It was like fandom explosion the decade. All right. I think especially with the internet and everything, like we have so many other different ways to like express ourselves and express our appreciation for certain types of media, and like even ways to actually get in touch with our favorite creators and all of that bit. It's I mean, I know it's been, I mean, like, I guess you could say throughout my adolescence I was like chronically online, but just like now, even now, as an adult in his late 20s now, um who's just really just like just living a life outside the internet once in a while. I'm like, wait, how did this happen? No one told me about this. I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I think everybody, because internet culture goes by so quickly, but at the same time, like I think we've become like so accustomed to just how culture even flows through the internet and everything, through the lens of the internet. And I think because of that, things are going like just much faster now. A lot of fads just come and go faster than normal. And I'm like, man, I could wake up the next morning, I'd be like, I feel like I'd be like 20 years in the future and everybody's got jetpacks and everything.
Like a Back to the Future reference.
Yeah. Oh, better yet, how about hoverboards? I love Back to the Future, by the way. Anyway, what other questions you've been wanting to ask again, Mavis?
All right, so can you name like your three top favorite horror characters?
Well, Chucky is one. Huge, huge Chucky fan, even though like I haven't really seen much of the series yet because the movies are just all too damn good, and it's just like my wife and I can like never find the time to like just sit down and watch a TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like
I've seen movies.
even with movies, even with movies, guaranteed I'm gonna fall asleep halfway. Okay, but a second favorite. Uh, huh. Freddy Krueger, I suppose. I've seen most of like Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't remember much of Freddy versus Jason, surprisingly. Man, I remember one Christmas. I don't remember if it was my mother or grandmother, but they got me this DVD of Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I know, right? What a gift. And I think now because of that, like I now and then like find myself singing the freaking Dream Warriors song, that because man, Dream Warriors. I've always had this like fascination with the xenomorphs from Alien.
Why is that?
I like just like how a whole like very specific like kind of biology is like written around this character, around this creature, and acid blood. You can't go wrong with acid blood.
All right, so going back to the Five Nights at Freddy's, I know that the actor that was in Scooby Doo and in Scream, Matthew Leonard,
Matthew
is
Leonard, yeah,
what I've been told and heard that he's voicing one of the characters in the new Five Nights at Freddy film.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
What
Matthew
do you think?
Lillard. Are we talking about like
The guy that played Shaggy in Scooby in the live action
the
Scooby
live
Doo.
action? Yes, yes. It's hitting me now. Like, oh my god, like you know, I kind of low key really like live action Shaggy. I really do.
But how do you feel about like as Matthew going to play one of the characters for the new Five Nights at Freddy's?
That's so surreal. If I'm ever going to see him on the screen, I'm just gonna be like skill. These animatronics are gonna invite us to a pizza party. One more pizza. I've been told a lot, almost all the time, that I look like Shaggy from Scooby Doo, and I take advantage of that.
All right, so let's talk about your favorite um cartoon characters growing up. Like, what inspired you to actually get into the type of spooky horror characters that you draw now?
My absolute favorite cartoon characters I grew up with.
Mhm.
Well, one of them being SpongeBob. But I think like I don't think like how that translates into like what inspires my work. I don't think we're that far in yet. But um, how much did you enjoy like Happy Tree Friends back in the day? We're talking about like late 2000s.
I think half the cartoons I watched, my brain kind of forgot them.
Well, basically, it's a dark comedy with cute woodland creatures maiming each other. And I really enjoyed that kind of juxtaposition. And like, I remember when I first like came around my first few episodes on YouTube out of sheer curiosity, like it gave me like these little shivers down my spine, a little jitters, but in a way that made me want to keep watching more. And it really turned into an obsession. And I think in many ways I've translated that into my work. Um, there's even like I even did some like Happy Tree Friends fan art that at one time was actually featured on Mondo Media's official website. I didn't even know for years. And then I saw some like fan art page. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I drew that. I mean, nice of them to give me credit and everything, but damn.
Oh, they did. Oh, that's great. Awesome. It's good when a lot of people recognize the artist. You told me before that a lot of people saw your art as like kind of remind them of Invader Zim.
Invader Zim,
Yeah,
yes. And which is strange because I haven't really like as a kid, I did not watch a lot of Invader Zim as much as everything else from Nickelodeon,
me neither. I do
which is
respect it
weird.
though.
Oh yeah, mad respect. But I'm like, yeah, I think like I mean, of course, there's like a lot of Cartoon Network too, like classics like Dexter's Laboratory. I
Yes.
really enjoyed that. Powerpuff Girls, Ed and Eddie, Foster's Home. As a matter of fact, back to Happy Tree Friends. That Fall Out Boy actually has an official music video that is really an episode of Happy Tree Friends.
Wow, really?
Yeah, look it up. It's called the Carpal Tunnel of Love. And it's as chaotic as you'd expect. And if you
Imagine.
keep a watchful eye, it even like it like even has like feature it even features the members of Fall Out Boy, but like
Wow.
drawn as cute little woodland creatures. Like, oh man, it was just it's too adorable the way they had Pete Wentz drawn with the dark eyes and the teased hair and everything.
When did you realize with doing all those types of artistic media that you wanted to get into art?
Actually came from like just pretty much a whole life of curiosity, right? I can't really explain how fascinating it is to really try to visualize the things that really happen in your head or communicate them in just a different way where you wouldn't normally see them. Because I think you may notice this in a lot of my art that a whole lot of things can happen in just one setting in one scene at once, depending on how long that you look at it. And all of those things I do try to like take into account when I'm painting or when I'm drawing. In a way, you really have to like really become part of the scene that you're making, you know? Like it's the same thing as like even writing a story. You want to like get the best idea of your own characters as you can, the setting, the environment, and everything. And sometimes since I'm like a more of like a surrealist horror artist, you have to like really get into the character to pull like in a way you have to kind of like scare yourself to really pull it off. Like really like even when I was first writing and recording Sins of the Father, you know, it started when I was like, just listening to like some random like 80s horror synth, which is like kind of like inspired the intro and everything.
Hmm.
And then just flip through the scariest pictures of Five Nights at Freddy's characters I can find on the internet, even if it's like just some scary fan art to like really get me in the mood, to really make the spirit move me. And just like over like a very certain like a very specific level of concentration, that's when I like get all my beats. I plug up, my interface, plug in all the instruments that I'll need. Got my microphone and everything, and like then just let it all flow, just let it all happen. Even if it doesn't really make much sense at first, and even if you're gonna look back at it like the next day, like what the hell was that? Like there was a point to it, right?
Yeah.
There was something else behind it that I guess in a way only you and you alone were aware of at the time. And I think that's why a lot of my work goes through even just one simple song or one simple painting goes through like tons of different changes. Like I have like 20 different variations of Tulpa, which is like a even like just a simple like a very short 2 minute punk song, right?
Yep.
That I wrote back in 2020. But how much actually went into it, you know, like everything, like just the order of lines written or like just specific placement of the chorus, pre-chorus, and just everything. Like everything I try to like calculate specifically to really like to really make you understand like the concept of it. But like without spoon feeding you all the details. But like all the details are clearly there, but they're just in the right order to, I guess, to paint the scene in a more authentic way.
Everything that you do, from your paintings to just a normal sketch, like each you have different art styles within each one.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Like some people who like just look at my entire gallery, like it's so hard to believe that it's just one guy doing all of this. But it's possible.
As a cartoonist, has anyone ever like kind of expected you or ever wanted you to draw in a different type of style? Like when, say, if someone asks you, like, can you draw an anime character or can you draw realism? What's your
Uh,
approach to that?
I don't really worry as much about it as I used to, but I remember this one client who was actually my landlady at the time. She wanted me to learn completely different styles, like as fast as I possibly could. Just to make small drawings of her miniature pinchers for her one of many small businesses. And to me this was like just ridiculous since it took me so many tries to draw the most realistic miniature pincher that I could. But she also wanted it like cute and exaggerated in a special way, but not exaggerated in the way I exaggerate things. And I'm like,
Mm.
if this is taking so long, why'd you get somebody of my art style and my aesthetic to do this for you?
Well, I guess a lot of people the same. It's the same thing with tattoo artists as well. Like a lot of
Oh
people
yeah,
have this expectation and thought that, like, oh, you're an artist, you can do all these different types of media. Like, no, no,
it
you
looks
can't
like
do it.
it.
Yeah, it looks like it. Like you can't go to a tattoo artist that does like scriptures, like is really good with writing signatures and stuff like that, and expect them to do a self portrait if their niche is in signatures. Like that's not gonna how it works.
Exactly. And not to mention, like, I mean, if you just look at my gallery, look at all of my previous work, and now you want something from me that looks absolutely nothing like it. And and you're gonna grovel about it being too long. I
Exactly.
mean, I still try to do whatever is right by my clients. You kind of have to,
Yeah.
if you're offering commissions, that's just business, all right?
Yeah.
But okay. Okay, like now the cat's out of the bag with this one. Also in the 2010s, well, obviously I've been inspired by I mean, I guess some anime, but like more of like the Western and Canadian, like American and Canadian sort of Western style of cartoons. Much like from the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really do point that out, and I think it's kind of fun. Like three of my main artists that inspire me are Tim Burton, obviously for the whole spooky gothic appeal. See, Gendy Tartakovsky, who is like the creator of a lot of Cartoon Network shows like Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. And there's Lauren Faust, who worked on the Powerpuff Girls, alongside Craig McCracken.
Oh, okay.
And most people know her now as the creator of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. I will admit that I was the biggest brony in denial. That pretty much explains some of the unicorns in my art too. Not to mention, like, as much as she really hated a lot of the ponies and unicorns in my art, she even bought one of my unicorn paintings for the bathroom wall. Okay. This was like last year, when I was like moving out of North Carolina into St. Louis, with Sky, right? Just before we got married on Halloween. It was the same month of October. It was like just then that this landlady, was like just now and then passing by, talking to me. Your wide eyed style's kind of growing on me now. I was not buying it. It's like, You're just saying that because I'm leaving now. You're just saying that because I'm gone. Oh. And not to mention before all of this, again, she also tried getting me to make her free art for simply living there.
Damn.
Like she wanted me to like paint eyeballs like all over, like all on all of her flower pots.
I mean, did you get like a 50% off rent discount?
If you're actually going to make your art into a business, like find it very essential to actually know your, it's like to really know your worth. Because especially if you're small independent and still trying to figure certain things out, there are all kinds of people like who will try to like change your art or like just try to take it in a way that you don't consent to, or just
Yeah.
mishandle everything entirely if you give them too much power. And they will take this, like they will disguise this treatment, like they will disguise your this exploitation as a way of helping you move forward. Do not take the bait on these things. In a way, like no matter how simple or like how maybe overly complicated or overly exaggerated your art style may be, whatever you do, to me, I always find it important to play to your strengths. And I think like that's usually like where I am most confident in my art. Because I mean, just look at me right now in music, you know? People who paint and draw this good can still also write really good songs. Not everybody can do this. Not everybody is the best at absolutely everything. I just
Nope.
happen to be good at all these things. Just these things in this box. It's my box.
I think the only musician I could think of that is good with music and creating their own art is Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance.
Yes, Gerard Way. Pretty good writer too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did. What was he wrote for the? What was it? The Umbrella Academy or something?
Yeah, Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
I originally actually started music in case my artwork didn't go anywhere, but I seem to be going places with both right now. But it's much harder to get music out there because, harder with music than with simply artwork.
But you had to put like your music, like put it in a specific genre. What genre would you categorize your music in?
I think you could slap alternative and experimental on anything, which is what I'll probably do anyway. It's experimental.
Does your music inspire your art, or does your art inspire your music?
That's kind of like a whole chicken and egg kind of situation. Because actually, with Sins of the Father, I wrote the song first. And surprisingly enough, this song, like I only worked on it like only like just 2 months to get everything the way that I wanted it. To make everything come together. Whereas with the artwork, I actually struggled more with. So that's like new territory for me. Especially with like maybe like 10 different sketches in my sketchbook. And then I try working it out on the computer, with a Fire Alpaca. But, I just couldn't get the right dimensions. So I started like using Sky's iPad. And so I'm still kind of like getting used to using Procreate, but so far I think I'm doing much better than I even could have with Fire Alpaca. Just because of all of the different tools and all the different possibilities.
When you struggle with like artist block, what do you do to kind of get back into drawing?
Well, I can't say that artist block is never an issue with me because it almost always is, despite how much that I sketch in my sketchbook daily. But sometimes what I would do is like, if I can get a fresh piece of paper here, I learned this as a kid. Just draw any like random kind of shape like this. It's like finding shapes in the clouds. Just find a character in it. There he is.
So if you had to make any of your characters into an animation, whether it's your paintings, caricatures that you sell, or the comic strips, what would you like in an adaptation to an animation, whether it's a film or a TV show?
I think it would be awesome to make Artie and Company an animated series. It really started off as like just basic like random antics. You know, basically like just just young kids transitioning to their teen years, maybe some like comedy, romantic drama, just all kinds of silly, awkward antics. That every now and then I sprinkled in some supernatural or some mad science or whatever. And I really started building more on the concept of Artie and Company in 2016 when I started making like a full-fledged comic series out of it. And I kind of stopped it a little bit in 2019, but I've sort of just felt the urge to really continue it. And not only am I like continuing the story, that's almost all supernatural mayhem. I'm also working on like another standalone comic strip of Artie and Company that's in a college newspaper that's
Wow.
just completely like almost completely slice of life crap. But for a movie, I'm not really sure because I don't believe that I really have that much material surrounding the universe yet.
Have you ever thought about doing voice acting?
I have considered a little bit, but I'm like, sometimes I wonder if that'd be putting too much on my plate, especially with where I currently am.
Well, I'm not saying like
Like,
do it right now this
oh
second, but
no, but like right now, I mean, hell, I might as well like record a quick demo reel or something. I think half of it is me just gonna be like singing pop songs in that Eric Cartman voice.
that'll be cool.
I'm getting under. Child's being rude.
Maybe that should be your next thing, or if you do like record any songs, just like sing your songs, but in different character voices.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Now you have the tattoo on your arm, on your upper arm.
I do. Yes, this was actually my first tattoo. It had to be something that I'm really passionate about, and it's obviously my artwork. It's about my art.
It's
It's got
beautiful.
like the little reaper, like my logo, but it's like instead has like this little wolf skull.
Was that one of the very first drawings you made of your little Grim Reaper?
Actually, it's one of the most recent. Yeah,
And
there was like see Sky and I have like been trying to like get back into like furry stuff more often. Like just because we just love being part of just communities of weird nerdy people like us. They're a cute cat and I'm a wolf.
so have you thought about adding to your tattoo?
Uh, maybe later down the road when I can afford it. Yeah, Sky actually came up with the idea of giving my Reaper like a wolf skull and then like just red fur everywhere else.
Favorite painting that you have done so far? Whether it's speed painting or any
I
commission things.
don't think I'm lying, of course I do. One of my favorite paintings, and I think one of the best that I have done this year, um, was actually a commission of David Bowie on this wide 14 by 16-inch canvas. Let me show it to you. I have it in my studio right here. Get it out really quick.
It's a big canvas.
Yep, this was actually commissioned for a friend, and I thought I'd be doing David in the like Aladdin Sane era,
It's awesome.
with a little lightning bolt and everything.
That's really cool.
I think this like took me about like somewhere between like 2.5 months,
Yeah, really?
because like that is just how long I was fixated at just getting the facial proportions right. This is the most hyper realistic that I've actually done in the longest time. And I know you're looking at the really huge eyes. Forget about that. Let's see. And my second favorite, this one I did back in 2021. Yeah, if you remember this one.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yes, I call it fucked vibes. And it's just like I think it's actually one of my most iconic paintings, because I think it just paints just a perfect picture of like what my art is all about, basically what it is. It's just finding control, or like just making peace in chaos. Because a lot of my art, all that I create, like what they all have in common is chaos. Just absolute, complete, utter chaos. You can't tell if something is building up or it's falling apart. In many ways, both seem to be happening at the same time. It's like my world has a very like seems to have a very unique gravitational pull. Everything that makes it what it is there. But I think you'll have at least like some general sense of what it is without, searching through the grain in the woods to find its meaning.
Well, that's the fact about that your art is that there are like not only like different dimensions within like the color and the setting
Oh yeah.
where you have your characters, but it's just there is a great amount of detail that you put into it. My art is just real simple and simplified. I like it simple.
I mean, me too, obviously depending on the particular project. And sometimes like the amount of detail or the amount of work I put in something obviously depends on the concept.
Right.
Like as for the Artie and Company comic strips, like they're very, very simple, right? Like they're practically iPad doodles and like just short little jokes. So I could probably do like finish one in like in a day, right? So like one gets published in the newspaper like every 2 or 3 weeks. But with my own personal like passionate projects are likely to take even longer, right? Which is why I don't really like set deadlines for myself. Or sometimes I do, but I rarely ever follow them.
Yeah, same for
Because
me.
there's always going to be something that like you're always going to be experiencing some difficulties. Some things are always going to be like popping up when you least expect them. And a lot of that happened with Sins of the Father. And a lot of it basically came from the fear, like a fear of failure, which in many ways I do still have.
I think that it just comes with being an artist.
It really does.
And everyone
Especially when you're working in a certain medium, or, toying with some aesthetics you're not usually used to. You know, like I didn't even think that making, fan made music even fan music was going to be anywhere in my catalog. I suppose it is now. And even if it doesn't work, I can always say I at least tried that once.
I know that you posted you identify as pansexual, and also saying that you kind of are into furry thing. Did you come into terms to realize that you identify as pansexual?
I think it actually started with Sky and I like just talking about just each other's preferences and just stuff that like just kinds of people that we liked. And I have had some like guy crushes here and there at one point. I think like a couple of trans girls, that doesn't count, but how I can express that like in my art right now, I really don't know. It's very fuzzy.
I mean, there is a way.
There are many ways.
Yeah, there are many ways.
There's more than enough ways. I probably will. I'll think of something next year. Probably maybe this time I really will go out for Pride Month.
I mean, I think that would probably like help you find out a way on how you can incorporate anything within the LGBT into your art. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
a lot of people like it not only would grow your audience a lot more, but a lot of people would appreciate it.
Okay. I think even when it comes to identity or when it comes to mental health, like just any of those types of things, like sometimes like I really do get like a little skeptic about
Like,
people becoming suddenly so accepting. I think because like I mean, I think you probably already know what it's like, especially like being so alone and depressed for a really good portion of your life. And now you
yeah,
see all this positivity around you, and the first thing that comes to your mind is that you're being bullshitted.
yeah.
Because, like, how do I know that, once I let my guard down, that, like, all of you are not going to turn your backs on me? It's very petty, I understand, but I do look back, like, one time around the same area. Like we do have like a couple of like Catholic churches that are gay positive, right? One of them having a little sign that says, "Whatever the church did to you, we're sorry." And
I mean,
I'm not
they're
going to lie, that did actually make me feel very hopeful because I actually grew up in a traditional Catholic household um, that really shunned gays in any way at all. And with somebody as very sensitive as I was, I was in many ways a black sheep.
I feel you on that. Same here.
And now to find out now that I'm actually pansexual, and now just looking back at like just all those treatments from the Catholic Church, and now there's suddenly all these churches that are just so accepting of these people. I'm like, well, where were you guys when I needed you?
I don't blame you. Society has changed a lot, which makes a lot of people kind of wonder whether or not they're just doing this just to show off or they really are accepting.
Exactly. And I think about that all the time with social media or allies, you know? It's like how sincere are we? Are we being like, and I think it really comes into the morality play of everything, something that I also do explore in my artwork. Like, it's the same thing like with being approached by any of like the creatures in my paintings. Like, are they actually friendly? Like, do they have good intentions, or should I like just back away? Should I just back away, hope it doesn't see me, and run off?
I think your characters will make like good plush animals. Because you made merch that you sold at was it like a convention or something?
It was actually at the St. Louis Science Center. Yeah, every single month, every first Friday, they have like a special theme and everything. And for that, they have like vendors, and all kinds of artists and everything. And people say like, what's really cool is because of this certain juxtaposition, you're gonna have people who will say that's really cute or that's really scary. So it really does come to my attention, when it comes to like first impressions, like especially like even with some like good intentions, right? With good solid intentions from this creature with the snarling teeth, right? That you'll see in one of my prints. First thing is you're going to come across, like, it really depends on who you are and how you approach certain things. Like it's really all up to you whether you want to like walk any closer or start a conversation with this creature. And that's basically just a lot of the characters that I create. Like whether they're good, whether they're bad, or whether they just have a whole lot of issues and kind of like bounce between the two. In a way, like they're people too. And I think that really like adds to the humanity of like all kinds of art in general. And I think what attracts a lot of people, even to the like I know like I'm basically like a drop in the water among other artists who do the cute slash creepy kind of juxtaposition. But I think why it still appeals to so many people today is just because it has, it has the, like, at first glance, the good and the bad together. Like they're both revealed to you at the first glance. And now it's your choice how to approach it. Even some kids at the science center see when they like see some of my monsters. Like the more colorful, the more they're attracted to it.
Yeah.
And like just like try to get their parents to buy it.
Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Hey, no problem, Mavis. Yeah. I really hope like this draws like more people. Like if not just my art, just like I think just gives them a more in-depth look into cute slash creepy.